This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Scott Howell.
Hello, good neighbors, and welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast, brought to you by the Friends and Neighbors Group of Cleveland and the greater Chattanooga area. Again, my name is Scott Howell, and I'm your host. For the first-time listeners, you might wonder, what is the purpose of the Good Neighbor Podcast? Well, it's to bring awareness to the residents of our communities regarding locally owned and or operated businesses in Cleveland, Chattanooga, and the surrounding areas. You know, small local businesses are the backbone of our communities, and they need our support. And joining me today is our good neighbor, Kyle Miller with Sojo's Coffee Company. Welcome, Kyle, and thank you for being our special guest today on the Good Neighbor Podcast.
Thanks, Scott. It's an honor to be here. Grateful for the opportunity to connect with you in this way.
Well, it's our pleasure. We love talking to local business owners and doing everything we can to promote you to the community. And so I'm so interested to hear your story in just a minute. But before we jump into talking about the business, would you like to share anything with us about yourself and your family?
Well, sure. So I am married to Candace. We've been married for about a year and a half now. But before that, I was born in Canada, raised in Minnesota, and then I moved to Tennessee here in about 2015. So it's been a process, it's been a journey, but man, Tennessee is where it's at.
You got that right. And I'm sure, especially when it comes wintertime, Tennessee is the place to be.
Yeah, you got that right. I mean, don't have to deal with 40 below or anything like that, so it's definitely quite nice.
Mention that. I'm just throw this in for good measure. I lived in Chicago for 2 years, and the last winter, I'm born and raised in Alabama, right? So I lived in Chicago for 2 years, and that last winter I was there was 2 days. The wind chill was 60 below zero. Ooh. And I didn't know I didn't know there was that kind of cold. I had no earthly idea. And told kiddingly, I said, I think we should pass a law against that this never happened.
I mean, if we could, I'd definitely sign up for that one. That's for sure.
I'm telling you, that was cool. Yeah. So let's jump in and tell us about Sojo's Coffee Company.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started roasting coffee in 2017, but my passion for coffee started way before that. I guess you could say I've always had just a passion for coffee, and just the way that coffee brings people together, and it just unites people, and like you can use it to get together with friends, or you have just time spent over a good cup of coffee. Just a little bit of behind the name. Sojo's Coffee stands for sojourner, and our tagline is savor the journey. And I always appreciated the thought of, we're all on a journey, we're all progressing through life, and what can we do to savor the process through that experience, not always looking forward to the next season in life, not always looking forward to what God has for us down the road, but being content and happy and satisfied with where He has us now, and just savoring that process of going through the journey, and just enjoying it as you do it. And I mean, in my opinion, what better way of doing it than with a good cup of coffee? So that's kind of the name, the meaning behind the name. So I started roasting coffee in 2017, and roasted for a long time. Just started building up that side of the business, and then in 2023, I purchased a trailer and began the process of converting it into a mobile coffee trailer. And then in the beginning of 2024, ended up finally getting that trailer finished. And then with this trailer, then I also have a mobile cart that I can use for indoor events, or as a specialty coffee cart if someone has like a wedding or a different event like that, where they want me to come inside and set up and do a a specialty coffee event for them. I've done corporate events for employee appreciation. Got a few weddings lined up. So, I mean, there's all sorts of ways where like I can incorporate, whether it's my trailer or like the coffee cart itself, either one of those options, and just provide coffee for people. So it's
Absolutely.
definitely a neat opportunity. That's for sure.
Sometimes people have tried a cup of coffee. It may be the first experience in their life, and they didn't like it. And so maybe they think all coffee is the same. There's no sense in me trying more coffee. I didn't like that coffee that I tried. Is that a myth or misconception?
Um, yes. I mean, not all coffee is created equal. Not all coffee roasters are created equal. I mean, one thing that blew my mind as I started the process of just learning more about coffee is the variations of coffee, just from around the world. Like you get coffee from Africa or South America, Central America, just the different regions that grow coffee have a very unique and distinct flavor profile within themselves. Um, but then even within the countries themselves, like the flavor profile of the coffee will vary greatly, depending on altitude and rainfall and temperature. So you could have the exact same coffee from the exact same farm 2 years apart, and it'll taste different just because the weather was different, the climate was different. So you might have one cup of coffee and it's bad, but there's so many variables that can go into that, um, that go into what makes a good cup of coffee a good cup of coffee. But I
Yes.
will say the number one thing that can cause a cup of coffee or a person to have a bad experience with a cup of coffee is, coffee goes stale a lot quicker than what I realize and what I think most people realize. Oftentimes, when you're purchasing coffee from a grocery store, especially like big box stores and stuff like that, the coffee that is on their shelf most of the time is already stale by the time you're purchasing it. So
Oh, wow.
like it it has, I mean, it's not spoiled or anything like that. Like obviously you can still use it, but to get your optimal flavor profile out of a cup of coffee, you're going to want to drink it within the first month to 6 weeks of the time it was roasted. So that's one reason why like I try to specialize in, not keeping any back stock when it comes to my roasted coffee. So that way, when people purchase the coffee, it's roasted to order, and I can get it out to them as fresh as possible, and then that way they can have the best experience that they can with
Yeah.
that coffee.
Well, I know people that started buying fresh beans and they just do it themselves because they said the flavor is so much better. So that makes a lot of sense,
Yeah,
what you're saying.
absolutely. Yeah,
I never had thought about that before.
and whole bean coffee will stay fresh a whole lot longer than pre-ground coffee will. So, like if you are going to a store and shopping for beans there, like whole bean will still be a much better option than pre-ground coffee.
Okay. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I talked to someone recently, interviewed them that they sell fresh dog food. And
Okay.
that was what they were saying. A lot of times by the time it gets on the shelf, it's already a year old. Yeah, you
Hmm.
lost some of its nutritional value, so that makes a lot of sense that coffee would be the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. You know, uh, let's step outside the business for a moment. Kyle, you mentioned you're about your family, your wife, Candace, and what do y'all do when you're not working? You're out there having fun. You're getting out and getting your mind free. What do you like to do for fun?
Well, for fun, I love to travel and just experience different cultures, different regions, explore just the beauty of creation. I've traveled all over the United States domestically, and we've both traveled internationally. It's something we both love to do. We both love just getting out there and seeing what different cultures are doing. Obviously, with like an aspect and a heart for building and developing community. It's fun going into these different cultures and see ways that they develop community among themselves, because I mean we're all communal beings and people who are designed and created for a community. And I think seeing that and seeing how other people around the world incorporate community into their daily lives, it's beautiful. And I love to just be able to experience that. But when we're not traveling and just hanging out here locally in Cleveland, um, we're both super involved in our church. We love hosting community groups in our home for Bible studies and stuff like that, or just serving on a Sunday morning. We love hiking. We love kayaking, getting out and just sitting around the campfire or by the lake or something like that, and just enjoying the beautiful weather. So
Yeah. Okay. That's great. That sounds like I'm a nature kind of guy myself too. Except when it comes wintertime, I become an old bear and I hibernate.
man, I tell you what, this weather that's starting to finally turn nice. It's definitely making it a lot more enjoyable. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm ready to go to that taco festival over there, and they're having over there in Camp Jordan area. I think it is. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm all fired up. So is your wife Candace involved in the Sojo coffee business with you?
So, ironically enough, when I met Candace a number of years back, I was already well into my coffee journey and business. Um, so, one of my first questions for her was, "What's your view on coffee, and do you like coffee?" And she assured me pretty quickly that she does not like coffee. She is not a fan of coffee. She's never had a cup of coffee that she's liked. Um, and so even the coffee that I've made for her and stuff like that, she's like, no, that's not her her style. So, but thankfully she's super supportive, and she has gotten to be able to work with me on a number of events.
Great.
But she is a school teacher here locally at Truesdale, which is an adult special needs school here in
Okay.
Cleveland. So she has the unique opportunity of being with adults with disabilities and just helping them um, grow and sharing with them all that she can. So it's pretty neat. But yeah, I definitely couldn't do it without her support. That's for sure.
Well, great. Many kudos to Kansas for being a teacher. I think teachers don't get enough recognition. They
Yeah,
don't get
that's
enough.
100%.
They don't get enough. I don't, from the president of the United States down to and I'm not going to go even mention a name, but down to whatever category you want to look at as being a base category as far as income or whatever. It don't matter. You had teachers along the way that helped you get where you are. And to
Yeah.
me, they should be given a lot more credit than they receive. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Look,
They work a lot harder than I think a lot of people realize. That's for sure.
and Kyle, if there was one thing that you wish our listeners knew about Sojo's Coffee Company that they wouldn't know unless you told them, and you'd like to shout it from the rooftop, what would that be?
Well, that's a great question, Scott. Um, with every portion of proceeds or every purchase that people make through Sojos, whether it's coffee sales off my website or sales from my coffee trailer, anything like that, a portion of the proceeds go directly to organizations that work with refugees around the world. In 2018, I had the opportunity to take a trip to northern Iraq to bring humanitarian aid to the refugees there. And just being able to see the struggle firsthand and see what these refugees are going through on a daily basis was really eye-opening to me. And it made me realize just how blessed we are in this country,
Yeah.
with the security and the having the things that we need just at our fingertips. Like, it's a lot of a lot of the things that we just take for granted that a lot of them just simply don't have. But not only that, like, God commands us to take care of the foreigners and strangers among us. So, like, as we're on this journey of life and as we are going through, what can we do to help those on the journey and be sojourners with them? And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to give back through my coffee business and give to organizations that are on the front lines, so to speak, of helping these refugees, find homes, find safety, find security, or even just, getting a bottle of water, like things that we take for granted.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there who just don't have the basic necessities.
Amen. I tell you, that's the truth. We are so spoiled, and we don't even know we're spoiled. And that's
It's
the
true.
thing. We don't even know it. We've had it, but you never know when that table may turn. And I'd like to sow some good seeds that
Yeah,
can reach
absolutely.
people. Sounds like that's what you're doing. Well, I'm sure a lot of listeners are like, okay, Sojo's coffee. I would really like to try to love coffee, but I don't know where to find him. I don't know where he's going to be set up. So I'm supposing you keep a schedule on social media or website or something. So tell us online and offline how people can find out more about you and reach out to you if they need to.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Sojo's Coffee. That's SOJOS Coffee. And also on my website at sojos-coffee.com. You can purchase coffee there. I ship it all over the country, internationally, wherever you want it to go. And then as far as like my coffee trailer and schedule, I'm still in the process of developing a schedule and a routine as far as where I'm going to be set up on a regular basis. So that will be posted on my social media site when that comes available. I do have an event at Johnson Woods on the 18th of May. They're doing an ultra marathon there.
Yeah.
And I'll be set up there. So if people want to come out and test it out and see what it's like, you're welcome to. That's one event for sure that I know that people want to come out and support Sojo's and get some coffee. That's where they can do it.
Yes, and that ultra marathon, I know some people that are participating in that as well. So I know they'd be glad to look around and see supporters there cheering them on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun time.
Well, hey, Kyle, it has been our pleasure meeting you, sir, learning more about you and your company, and God bless you in your endeavors that you're doing, not only trying to do locally, but also internationally. And our heartwarm wishes to you for continued success.
Thanks, Scott. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And to all the good neighbors of the Cleveland and the Chattanooga area, after meeting Kyle and learning more about Sojo's Coffee Company, keep him in mind. If you're a coffee lover and you love trying different types of coffee, reach out to him and order coffee from him and get it and try it. You may be shocked. It may become your favorite coffee on the list. But if you don't have a time to do that, or you're not interested in reaching out, watch his schedule. Go try his coffee out when you can. And if you're a business owner and you'd love to host him, you'd love for him to come to an event you're having, or just set up out in the parking lot and offer your customers coffee, get with him, holler at him, and see what y'all can work out. Help him out in the community. Let's do all we can to promote him and support him. And before ending this episode, I'd like to thank you, all the listeners, for taking time out of your busy day to visit with us at the Good Neighbor Podcast. Always remember to support the locally owned and or operated businesses in Cleveland and the greater Chattanooga area. This is Scott Howell of the Friends and Neighbors Group. Everyone go out and make this a remarkable day.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpcleveland.com. That's gnpcleveland.com or call 423-380-1984.